Craig, anytime you're ready. This is Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022. It is 6:07 p.m. Today is the Bluff Town Council regular meeting. Roll call.
Linda Sosa.
Jim Sayers.
And Luann raised her hand. Brant Murray.
Erin Nelson.
And Leffman. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the Bluff Town Council meeting minutes from July 26th, 2022. Has everybody had a chance to review them? Are there any changes, modifications, amendments?
It should be 2022. I've got 202, which takes me back. But I would move to approve those minutes. I do so with that modification.
So where are you?
I'm sorry, I made an error. That's on the agenda. It's not on the minutes. I'm looking at the agenda. There's no errors. Let's just approve them.
Luann has her hand up.
Okay. Okay, they all looked good, except for I wanted to, on the section on the roads, where it says we want to improve them, it would be where it says gap roads. I would rather it say 4th, 5th, and 6th graveled gap roads. And then the 3rd west school bus route and north of the community center instead of the post office.
You're muted.
And I was going to send those to you on an email, but that would just be a little more accurate.
Yeah. Lou, what number are you on? You didn't refer to what item.
It's number 1, I believe. I'm sorry, my computer locked me out, so I don't have it. But I think it's number 1.
So it's not an error then, right? It's just you want something different.
Well, it says that we're on gap roads, and I don't think a lot of people know what gap roads are, so I was just going to say 4th, 5th, and 6th east graveled gap roads. And then where you said the 3rd west school bus route is just fine. And then instead of the post office, put north of the community center.
Yeah, we had that map at the meeting that showed those things. I don't mind if we want to go ahead and add this detail, but I don't think it's necessary. So either way works for me.
I thought that the post office was mentioned also.
Not on this one, except for the road that goes past the post office and turns to gravel, which is what he refers to as gap roads. That section from Black Locust up to Mulberry.
Has Jim's been seconded yet, Mayor?
No, it has not.
I'm going to second that with those recommended ideas for Lou.
I would suggest rather than changing the language, we attach the map. The language is not incorrect in my memory. It went both directions with being descriptive on the number and being descriptive as to the description. So we could make it really easy on Linda and just have her attach the map.
Okay, that's my motion.
Sounds good.
That's my second.
I'm with you. My motion is modified to do that.
Okay, Luann is muted.
That's fine, except that the map, we changed the map from what was presented because we couldn't adjust that marker before the meeting. It shows a couple others over by the school bus route that will not be on, what is not what we talked about.
Well, it is the map that was presented.
That's true.
So all in favor say aye.
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 Anyone
Aye.
opposed? All right. We move to unfinished business. And the first thing is the review of
Sorry, Ann, public comment.
Public comment, correct. I'm not used to doing this where there are people. Sorry to the audience.
I
So
have a
there will be
comment in the chat box from someone online.
Okay, hold on. I get to read what we have to do. There will be a 3-minute time limit for each person wishing to make a public comment. If you exceed that 3-minute time limit without permission, the meeting controller will mute you. All right, Erin, go ahead.
Tim Hamilton would like to make a comment.
Mr. Hamilton, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to comment on the chip and seal, the road chip and seal. I think it's a really good idea, and for a couple reasons. One is elementary road on the west side of the school. It raises quite a bit of dust, and it all depends on where the wind blows. Of course, Bluff is a dusty area anyway, but and then here at the community center, north of the community center where Irene and I live, the dust really kicks up on that road, depending on the weather, of course, the wind, and sometimes it comes right toward our house. Sometimes it goes right toward the community center. And I remember when, let's see, Deb Hallen, Secretary Hallen came, they had a meeting out at the pavilion, and Jim Hook broke out the fire department's water truck and watered down the road so it wasn't so dusty for that area. And also we have the Bluff Arts Festival, and also I believe in June there was a graduation party over there. And all those things, again, depending on which way the wind's blowing and everything, get affected by the dust coming off our road here. And so I think it's a really good idea. You know, finance is pending. I listened to the conversation about it on the last meeting yesterday. I went and listened to it, and it sounds like it's pretty much going to happen. But I throw my hat in the ring for the town council making it happen if possible, if financially possible. Another thing that disturbs me sometimes is the speed that people drive on Mulberry Street. It seems like it's an artery across town from Twin Rocks to the community center and further west. And I don't know, there's a lot we can do about it. People go through here really fast. Some of it is, there's a school bus that goes by, the FedEx driver, bless their heart, the UPS driver, bless their heart. You know, they all do us a great service here, but they really speed through the neighborhood, the whole stretch of Mulberry. And here we have families out walking with their children now. We have old geezers like me out walking with their dog. We have people riding bikes. We have, well, I guess that's
time.
it. Time?
Yeah, just about time. Mhm.
Okay. That's it. That's the speeding on, and I think most people comply with it, but sometimes people get in a hurry. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks,
and
Mr. Hamilton. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? All right, then hearing or seeing none, we'll move to number 1, review and vote on the letter to Glenn Gurney regarding the removal of a dismantled hangar at the Bluff Airport. As you might have guessed from a couple of things, for some reason, our attorney's not getting back as quickly to us with some things, so I did not make this request because there are 2 more urgent issues that are pending with him. So hopefully this week I'll have a conversation with Chris McEnany and we'll get back on track. This will be moved to next week's meeting, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to address that. Then number 2, update on community development block grant and the state of Utah matching funds for the Bluff Community Center remodel. Well, despite my best efforts to mess up the submission, we got the grant. Aaron and I were able to work together with Linda to submit the missing page, which I'm not sure how that happened, but we received approval the end of last week that the grant was approved. So we're just waiting now for the contract to be able to sign it, and we have to have it signed and back sometime in September. Then we'll have to put this out for an RFP, and hopefully we'll get some good bids on that. We did receive the last of our matching funds from the state of Utah for the American Relief Plan, which was $14,000 roughly. So if my calculations are correct, we have about $57,000 in ARPA money to use as our matching funds for the remodel on the community center. Does anybody have a question on that?
Mayor,
Grant?
welcome back and congratulations to all three of you hardworking town and Bluff folks. It's a big accomplishment when you bring one of these in, so thank you very much.
Well, thank you. It was a nice team effort. It worked well. Then number 3, update on the Cooperative Community Center Design Review Team and the resolution for banking choice with a joint bank account. Jim and Brant, do you want to take that?
Sure. We had a meeting today, and I can go forward on that meeting, Brant, if that's okay with you.
Yes, sir.
We have had a standing item for the bank account on the agenda. And of course, until we get a resolution from our attorney that can be passed by both boards, we can't open the account. So they said that UDB had passed a motion a few months ago to approve it, basic approval. So I don't think the approval is going to be any issue when it comes out. But we really need to have that done soon. We don't have an account. Even if we do have money, we really don't have any money because we can't do anything with it unless it's in the account. The remodeling strategic planning, I'm hot on the trail of this. I'd really like to see this happen. I've called Lisa Springmeyer. She's out of the picture apparently, and her firm never called me back. I guess I can keep pounding on their door, but this may coincide with the need of the town for strategic planning as well. So, but if anything starts happening with strategic planning, with this CCC, I'll let you know. Just not yet. We've got all kinds of feelers out for grants, proposals, and updates. I have asked the committee today to, basically told the committee today that I am going to register with ECLS and see what is available. This has been on the boards here for about a year now, with one of the committee members having a password for ECLS and promising a proposal, but nothing has shaken out. So just as a backup, I understand that there's going to be some forward motion now, but just as a backup, I'm going to register. And I'm sure the more I learn about that grant opportunity, the better. The USDA, nothing yet. We're one of the members is going to bring the leader of USDA down, and but I am working on that paperwork myself. I have I would like to, and if it needs the approval of the council, we can do that. But I have an idea to set aside some space within the CCC, the 3,500 square feet that belong to the town, as an archive. It's not really a library, but it's more of an archive of preservation, historical preservation, that I'm calling it the Bluff Area Source Literature Archive. It occurred to me that a great deal of literature has been produced by the town. A lot of scientific literature has been approved or been produced by residents of the town and for the town, town environment and so forth. Not just scientific literature, but creative literature, travel literature. We have a number of active authors in town at this time, and a lot of historical stuff as well. I would like to set aside some space within the CCC to gather that material together. We could probably get some money from the ALA to archive something like that. So anyway, that's an idea that I presented to the Design Review Committee. We're a long way from achieving that. First, we need a occupation of the building, but I think it's a great idea and a need that might be there. I'm also working on the CIB. Nothing else really was happening. We got some information about the recycling. The septic and system inspection schedule is in and appreciated by the Department of Water Quality. We're good for another year, I assume. The UDB garden, I haven't heard anything more about that. The arts mural was brought as a possibility before this DRC today, and we're going to talk more, I guess, about that in the distant future, or not so distant future, whenever we can afford it. We will have exterior insulation on the building, which would kind of wreck any mural that was in there, but maybe not this year, but maybe next year. We'll see about that. That's about it. Anything I missed there, Brant?
No, sir. A good report and a good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim, could
Thank
I,
you, Aaron. Yeah.
just one thing that I was a little nervous about with UDB taking a motion and saying that they're in line to approve the banking resolution. I know you know this, but would you just make sure that when we finally get it from our attorney, that we get a hard copy of the signed resolution voted on by UDB? Because for the purposes of banking, our auditors are going to want some kind of a paper trail as to why we have a joint account with a non-governmental entity. The other thing, just so that people know, I have texted our manager to find out why we don't have sound coming in, and then he saw me step over to talk with our technician. And the reason I'm saying that is we've been discouraging folks from texting or doing anything on their phones during the meeting, but I didn't want to disrupt the flow of the presentation. So that's why I text. Any other questions for Jim or Brant, anyone?
Thank you very much.
Hey, Jim, I have one question that's
Yeah.
come up in the community, just wondering what the status of the playground is. Is that going to have to wait till something's open, or can we go ahead and open that up to the community?
As long as it depends on the inspection. The last I heard, there was going to be an inspection done, and if the inspection showed that there was no problems with it, or that the problems have been addressed, there's no problem with our insurance with opening up the playground. But we want to ensure, and the playground committee, I think there is one, that all the equipment is as safe as we would be expected to have it. That sort of reduces your liability to zero. If there are no problems that you know of and you've had it inspected, we're good to go.
And
Okay, thank you.
so there have been 2 inspections by Tom Correo, the property manager for San Juan School District. Not sure what we do with Echo. I'll let Craig figure that out. The information that I have is that the playground is not at this point to code, and it is not safe enough to open up. We do not have the written report yet. I sent a reminder to the playground committee about a week ago asking them to update, but I know both of the primary people were traveling and out of town. So hopefully we'll have something for the next meeting, but we can't.
Yeah, that would be great. I'd love to have that fixed, whatever it is that needs to come up, and we could work toward that as soon as we know what it is. Thank you. Thank you. That's all.
So Luann was saying something, but I'm still echoing. I can't hear you. Did we skip number 1? No. I said that I did not send it to the attorney. It's very possible I could have skipped one, but that's okay. Update on the recycling committee's work. I'm doing this as a resident and a private citizen, not as a member of the town council. But we're still working on it. It looks like we may have a lead-in with Moab helping. The difficulty really is that as a small community, we don't have a lot of room and money for transport. And so we're working on that. I did not attend the meeting. I had a separate meeting. Aaron, if you could update a little bit on that, give them a little more detail. Aaron did attend it.
Yeah, so the next step, one of the people heading it, Adrian, is going to be reaching out directly to the organizers in Moab. We did meet with a representative from Replenish, who is kind of partnering with this facility in Moab. And so they're just setting it up to see if it would even be feasible for them to process our recycling, because to take it the whole way to Grand Junction, for example, probably wouldn't be feasible. We're also exploring other avenues in terms of just the quantities. So the hope would be that it would be a large quantity that would justify the transportation up to Moab, but potentially looking at partnering with schools or other communities in the area in order to make it worthwhile to take the recycling up there. So it's definitely a work in process, but hopefully we'll have some answers soon as to whether Moab would be able to process the material.
Well, for the first time, we have an audience, and now I'm going to have a malfunction on the recording on my end. Jim, is your recorder handy?
Yeah.
Okay, if you have a recorder handy, it is
Hang on.
6:29, and we're on pause.
Looks like it's working. It is 6:29 on 8/2/2022. This is a backup recording for the regular town council meeting, and all the council members are here. Okay, I think we're going.
Thank you. Then number 5, Aaron, is also yours. Update on the bug spraying at the community center.
Yeah, so as approved by the council, we did get an exterminator in. Blue Mountain Exterminating actually sprayed today. We did notice quite a few pests in the area. Within like 30 seconds of him being out there, he noted the excess of spiders and then other critters. So that was taken care of for both the community center and Fire Mesa Kitchen. We will also receive another treatment in September. The price ended up being $200 per treatment. He did tell me that he does other customers of his, for example, the cities of Blanding and Monticello receive monthly treatment. And if we wanted to pursue something like that in the future, possibly next year, that prices would be really reasonable. He said, his words, not mine, at most $75 a treatment for a facility like ours. And due to like a longer term contract, we only asked for 2 treatments, which is why each of these are $200. But like I said, the second treatment will take place in September, and I will work with the community center manager to get it cleaned in here as well. As we know, after treatment, it's going to be a little dicey. So, any questions?
Thank you, guys.
Aaron, why don't you just let everybody know that it's safe to be in here?
Oh, certainly. So he assured me we triple checked that it was safe to use, around people, around animals, out in the kitchen area. It's no problem at all. We got multiple assurances that we were safe, and he, answered all of our questions really appropriately. So thank you.
All right, then moving to number 6 is also Aaron's update on the status of NetForce and any other options.
Yeah, so I had a meeting with DTS. They're at the state level. They do IT services and security for other governmental entities. I had another meeting with them on Monday. I guess that was yesterday. And they did confirm that there would be no additional installation fees, that if we were to move forward with the contract with the proposed rates. As a reminder, I did present that a couple meetings back, and it was roughly $600 a month. But there would be no additional installation fees, no upfront fees or anything like that. They would need to come down and do some install. For example, the actual firewall itself needs to sit in between where we're getting our internet and like the router, for example. I am waiting to hear back regarding the a la carte pricing from NetForce. We did have a really good conversation where they agreed to make an exception to they have like tiered levels of service. And we said that we really needed a few things from the top tier, but really nothing else. And, the $15,000 a year price tag just wasn't quite what we were looking for. So I'm waiting to hear back on that a la carte pricing. Their executive director was out of the office last week, so I'm going to give him a pass, but hopefully I'll have both proposals ready for you for a vote, hopefully by next week, ideally by the end of August. What questions can I answer?
Anyone have any questions?
I do, Mayor. What was our monthly on the NetForce? I was trying to remember, Aaron. Do you remember what we were paying NetForce?
So we had,
monthly. I was
yeah.
doing a comparison.
So what we had been paying them for is an outdated service model, essentially. So it was roughly $300 to $400 a month. There were also, we did receive a credit because we haven't had a server this whole time, and that kind of was part of the reason that we were looking for alternate providers, is because the service, it's just kind of been a little funky. However, that pricing model is no longer available. So the quote we received, which, like I said, there were certain items in that highest tier pricing that we wanted, was going to be $1,200 a month. So that's why I felt it was really important to, still give them a fair shot, but try to get an a la carte pricing that kind of tailored the service to what we actually need at our level.
Fantastic. Thank you for that information.
And I think we'll just put that on a work session. We'll put it on a work session in the future then. The number 7, the response to Jim Hook's request for work on South 6 West. I'd like to first remind the council that we did pass a policy related to the treatment of alleys and roads. The policy is posted for everyone's information on the town's website. And if anybody listening to this or wanting to do any improvements or work on a public right-of-way or road, alley, please let us know. We'll be happy to meet with you. This was provided by our attorney. Number 1, South 6 West is a platted road, which was established in the Bluff Town Site plat. Number 2, the town receives Class C funds for maintaining that road. Number 3, the road is of record and has been used for many decades. Number 4, it is the town's policy to retain all town rights of ways for present and future public use, as well as the use of neighboring property owners. Number 5, only the town has the right to regulate and control town property. No neighboring landowner has the right to alter, block, or control these areas. Number 6, the town is willing to have a dialogue with any property owner if there are problems associated in terms of any particular road. A meeting can be set up. And finally, as a last resort, number 7, the town will take whatever steps are necessary to protect its title to public rights of ways, including legal action. I've had multiple conversations with Chris McEnany about this, and this was what I read off 1 through 7 was the result of the last communication I had with him about 2 weeks ago. Any questions from the council? All right, if there's nothing further on that, then we'll move to number 8. Report on the San Juan County Commission meeting of August 2nd, 2022. Okay, so you're saying turn down the volume. Okay.
Test. Try to talk. Testing.
Okay, testing.
Not that one.
Okay, now what do I do?
It's better. A little bit better.
Well, I don't hear the shriek.
There's a little echo, not much.
Okay, so your volume's off, and then go ahead and mute yourself as well.
I guess we're starting to figure out how the net force vote is going to go.
Well, part of the problem was I have my audio off. I couldn't hear what Jim said. So let's see if
It was really funny.
all right. I'm giving Aaron time to get back to the office. Number 8, the report on the San Juan County Commission meeting of August 2nd, 2022. Both Aaron and I sat in on that virtually. Linda, did you also? No. Linda shaking her head no. So when I jumped off, there wasn't a whole lot that was particularly relevant to Bluff. And the main thing that I was listening to was the public lands report by Nick Sandberg. There's an amendment pending to the planning and zoning for San Juan County related to grazing preference over solar farm preference. And I was listening to see where that was coming in. There'll be a public hearing on this issue, and I'll get to that later on in the agenda, but well, actually, I might as well do it right now. Number 18 was just a reminder that San Juan County will have a planning and zoning public hearing on the amendments, August 11th, 2022 at 6 p.m. I believe that's at the Hideout. But what they're attempting to do is give a preference to grazing over any solar use for San Juan County property, or San Juan County unincorporated areas and incorporated areas. And then Aaron, go ahead, I'll mute myself.
Yeah, so the other half of the meeting, the only other items that were probably pertinent to us. So there was a Board of Equalization portion where essentially they said that the county record, something with the computer, modified property values. So it's actually a 5-page report. You can go find it out in the agenda from this meeting, but it's a 5-page report with parcel numbers, what the incorrect value in the system was, and then what the corrected value should be. So the first part was the first few pages were just incorrect. They are saying that the computer system modified these parcel numbers, parcel values. And then there were additional parcels that were looked at. Originally, it sounds like this was brought up in June. They didn't think that they would be able to bring this before the commissioners before August because there will be another Board of Equalization review of this issue. But they also addressed just assessor mistakes regarding, items like there was no home on the property, or it was a primary residence as opposed to a secondary residence. So I definitely urge landowners, parcel owners to go out and see. They did say that everyone impacted by this would receive a notification via mail. And then finally, the last few pages are property owners in the Pat Creek fire area that received adjustments due to their property values. The only other item that might be of interest to folks, there was a presentation by the Economic Development Director regarding the creation of the Mud Springs Trail. That's kind of on the border of Grand County and San Juan County, and they'd like to put in mountain biking trails and other uses. So that was also presented. Any questions about that Board of Equalization or other questions in general? Oh,
Thank you.
Brant, you're on mute.
All right, there we go. I just got my tax bill for next year, and I got a feeling that these are errors in the next year's bill rather than the actual property values. I got a feeling it was the valuation bill, so I don't think it's as urgent that we have to do anything right away. We'll have several notices through the year, so just that's my idea. I do not know if that's right or not.
Yeah, it looks like they're digging into all of this. One thing that they did mention is the county did choose not to go through the truth in taxation process, which would have effectively increased the tax rate. They chose not to do that. However, the valuation is going to change, and so all of this I think is kind of intercombined. So I would definitely say it's something that everyone kind of needs to keep an eye on as they continue on. It did seem like there would be more movement throughout the month of August.
Thank you.
Okay, so sorry to do this, Brant, but I need to correct what you said. On your tax bill, there is a number for the tax assessor's office for Lyman Duncan. If you disagree with the assessment, you have to request a hearing on either August 29th or August 30th. And I'm doing that from memory. It might be the 28th or 29th. If you object to the valuation, then you need to call and make an appointment or talk to Rick Meyer or to Lyman Duncan. They will probably look at the situation and then give you a time to come up there and do a hearing with them. If you don't do that, that's your prerogative. However, then your appeal is to the state of Utah taxation for property division, which is a bigger pain in the whatever to do. So if you object to your valuation now, you need to do it now. And it's a number, when you look at your tax statement, it's tiny little print, but it's on there. Or go to their website and it should be there as well.
But Aaron said they're going to send out corrected statements. Is that right?
So for the ones that are listed in the minutes, they would. Didn't happen to see your name on there, Brant. So then
I'm not on there.
Follow the mayor's advice on that.
I'm doing the same thing, Brant. I've got the same problem.
But like the mayor says, everybody look. I was thinking it was a correctable error before an action item was needed, but it sounds like time was of the essence.
I would say that's probably fair. Yes.
Lou, did you have anything? The number 9, the discussion of San Juan County's response capabilities analysis. This was a carryover from the last meeting. What we need to do is work with San Juan County on the emergency response. And Tammy Gallegos is the head of that committee. She's working on San Juan emergency management. What we did was identify problem areas and possible solutions at the last meeting. And I'll send that out to everyone. But this is kind of a work in progress. If anybody's interested from the council or in the community on helping to work on what Bluff's response would look like, I'll be trying to set up a meeting again with Chief Lott to be able to look at how we interface with San Juan County. I do not have another date for the next meeting, and when I get it, I'll send it out to everyone. But we're required to participate and have our own plan as well, and it can merge into San Juan counties, which we worked on last year. Any questions? If there are no questions on that, then I'll move to number 10. The San Juan County's quote, homeless and quote, coalition committee. There was a meeting on July 12th, 2022. Father Joe Hubbard's been trying to get them to change the name of the committee to Unsheltered Coalition Committee, but the language in the state code is homeless, so that's what we're more or less stuck with. The only thing of real importance is that if you remember, we did a point in time count. Joe and I went out. Joe primarily did the work. I did the ride along. We went out and counted unsheltered people on a certain point in time, and we came up with 22. In the meeting on the 12th, it was reported that we had 6 to 8 unsheltered people in the entire county. So after a little bit of texting with Joe, because he wasn't on the meeting and I didn't have the data in front of me, he and I agreed that we had a 22 count. And when I corrected McDonald on that, there wasn't a lot of response. So I'm not sure if the number that went to the state for the point in time count was 6 to 8 or 22. And I have a meeting set up with workforce on another issue, and I intend to ask about that. But we had 22 unsheltered people in our community alone. Any questions on that? All right, then moving to number 11. Erin, this is also yours, update on Bluff's planning and zoning meeting.
Yeah, so there were a couple land use clearance requests. The first was from Andy Martin requesting the ability to build a covered patio over on her property in West Bluff. Per the ordinance, this did not require a land use clearance and so was dismissed by the council or by the commission. The second was Gary Hawes and Sam Weldon as the contractor. They put in a land use clearance for a 2,100 square foot residence attached to a barn / storage structure totaling 5,100 square feet. The commission did ask about setbacks, access, utilities. Gary also he also said that he's talked to Scott Burton and Ronnie Neves regarding building permits in the health department, since there would be animals in the barn, which is attached to the residence. The Planning and Zoning Commission did approve this request. Next up, I think it's already kind of been mentioned, but we're starting the official process. Planning and Zoning will have at least a vacancy, if not vacancies, for the actual commissioner's spots. So I will coordinate with Anne and we'll get those posted. There's a specific timeline and time frame in which we post for those, but you'll see that on the planning and zoning meeting again for tomorrow night to be discussed. Finally, there was a form that was approved. It's the zoning code amendment request. So if citizens would like to see the actual zoning code itself, the ordinance, or their actual, their zone rezoned, they would fill out this form. I was going to pull it up so you all could see it. If you don't mind, I'll just share my screen really fast. As a reminder, when I share my screen, I can't see you all, so please make sure to audibly tell me if you have questions. Give me 2 seconds. Share. And if everyone can see this. So they put together this form. It is out on the website right now under Planning and Zoning, Ordinances and Forms. It is a fairly detailed form, and I encourage you all to go take a look at it. In addition, it does require a notary a notary's signature. And the reason for that, so not a lot of forms have that, but they, in looking at examples, this is one because it is such a large request to make a change to a zoning ordinance or, the actual zones themselves. They felt it was necessary that it be notarized. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Any questions or comments?
I have one question, Erin. Do you know if that form went through Chris McEnany?
You know what? I'm not sure if it did. I can coordinate with Amanda Podmore. I cannot recall. I apologize.
I'll jump in tomorrow night into the meeting at the beginning and maybe try to get some clarification on that. Thank
Sure.
you. Anyone else?
Do you know what the deadline is for putting something on the PZ agenda?
I believe it's the Friday prior. Give me just a second, because it is, they're very good. They do have it updated on their website.
Okay.
It looks like 5 p.m. the Friday before the meeting.
Hey, thank you very much for that information. Thanks a lot for your report.
Because we have had kind of staggered meetings, we didn't have this real very clearly announced, but we have in our audience tonight the people from the Division of State History. After this meeting at 7:30, we'll be holding kind of an open forum, which hopefully they all know what they're doing, and I'm just going to sit. But people are welcome to join in. We are actually physically in the community center tonight. As you might tell from the technical glitches, we're not used to doing this live where we're actually here. So we're pleased to have them. They'll start at 7:30. I think the plan, and Erin and Craig, correct me, but I think the plan is to put this on YouTube and stream it, but I'm not, lose the in your head. Okay.
So you can follow the agenda. And then on the town website, there's also a link to the survey if you're unable to attend tonight.
So should we move to number 13, presentation and discussion of the transportation planning grant possibility under the U.S. Department of Transportation Safety Planning, and that would be Molly, and we've allotted 10 minutes for that. So I just will also add before Molly starts that this is on our work session tomorrow at 9 o'clock. I'm going to mute. Take it away, Molly.
Hi, everybody. I'm just have like a very quick kind of bullet point presentation, so it makes it easy to follow along here. Just, here we go. Okay, great. So actually this is a little, I don't know if it was a miscommunication or there's kind of two parts to this. One is a proposal for the creation of an active transportation plan committee under the town of Bluff. The reason why this proposal is coming to the table is to create an active transportation plan for grant applications, specifically UDOT grant applications. There are a couple applications that we'd only be eligible for improving Main Street or providing safe bicycle and walking paths, or a plan for kind of a safe route for kids at the Bluff Elementary School from one side to the other, would be to have an active transportation plan in place. And by bringing such like a group under the town of Bluff, it would kind of streamline these efforts of community members under the town of Bluff to improve Main Street and then ensure a public process. Some of us have been part of a group that meets once a month, the Citizens Institute, under the Citizens Institute of Rural Design. And we propose just bringing those public community members who are interested in creating this active transportation plan under the town of Bluff to streamline those efforts. The UDOT has provided this like handy dandy step-by-step guide to creating a transportation plan. So by following this process, I think that we could have a really like concrete plan for the town to execute on, and we'd also be eligible for these grants that are coming up. One such grant that we actually don't have to that could actually help provide the funding to create an action plan is this Department of Transportation Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. There's two kinds of grants you can apply for. One is an action plan grant that helps you develop the action plan, and then another is implementation grant. So once you have the action plan in place, you can actually start working on more like capital campaign, like actual hard costs to implement the grant. There is a deadline for the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant for September 15th. Some community members have already done some research and sat in on some webinars to understand what would be required. The award is there is actually no funding minimum or maximum. An expected minimum could be 200,000. A maximum could be this 1 million. And then if you want to apply as a joint application across multiple jurisdictions, it's been brought up before that it would be very interesting to work with Monument Valley or UNHS to develop like a safe bicycle route system that would connect UNHS, and maybe that is something that we'd want to discuss as well if we had a larger vision. There is a match required. I've admittedly haven't really done much research into this, but this is what I understand so far is 20% is required. And I think some of that is in-kind donations. And I think, we could massage this a little bit once we get the buy-in to either create this active transportation plan committee or apply for the grant itself. And those are just the highlights. But really, even if we don't have the bandwidth to apply, I don't mean to scroll so quickly. Even if we don't have the bandwidth to apply for the Safe Streets application right away, I do think it's critical to put in place an active transportation plan again, so that we can be eligible for some of these implementation grants. And I know that I've come to this kind of forum before with these like active transportation plan, or we need like a housing study or like a community asset plan. And the kind of through line for all these is the same, is we have to have these kinds of plans in place in order to implement or attract any kind of funding. So that is my platform here, the pedestal that I might die on. And I think it would just be really a better approach to be working with the town directly on some of these items, and an active transportation plan with like a concrete deliverable would be a way forward.
Does anybody have any questions for Molly?
Yeah, would this be an ad hoc committee under volunteer time, of course, an ad hoc committee under the town council that would report sort of like the P&Z, but it would be ad hoc because it would have a deliverable and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, we could create the structure. I think that's a good proposal, Jim. I think anybody in the town that wanted to be active on this, and then Luann and I have already been working on some of these things together, and she's a council member. So having a specific council member and then a specific reporting structure to the town council, I think could be a good way forward.
Yeah, I'm all for the committee. The committee might arrive at the idea of the grant as well, but I think we really need a committee to get into this for the reasons you state. Thank you, Molly.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor.
Aaron?
Yeah, thank you so much for your time today, Molly. Have you gotten any information regarding like the bandwidth, the number of hours it usually takes to put together, one of these plans. I know, of course, it's going to vary town to town and, just the size. But do you have any information on that as to what we could expect just in terms of a time frame?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I'd have to do some more research into that. But Jared, this has been actually a recommendation by Jared Beard and Heidi. Can't remember her last name. Both.
Good heart.
Thank you, Brant. Who work for UDOT, and they are available for these types of questions. So we could reach out to them and get a more specific answer to you, and then that would probably help determine the timeline for applying for some of these grants and like the effort required, kind of a project work plan to be put in place.
Grant?
Thank you, Mayor. Molly, I agree. I think it's time to go ahead and get this under the town banner and go ahead and try to get this thing. We all know of the reasons that we reached out to UDOT 3 years ago, speed and safety and all that. So I'm behind this. Thank you.
Anyone else?
If this will work up here. So one of the things when they talked to us was encourage us, we have this checklist, but a lot of what they need, we've already got, and we've already been working on with getting partners included. And then they want us to do a community workshop to get everybody on, get everybody's input on where such a active transportation area would be, and then get the town council to agree to that. So like the map that I created along the way, just as a quick map, they said would be fine as long as the town council, signs off on it. So everybody needs to look more thoroughly and see what we need to get in and out of the school and get to the, we've got the history people here. That was one of the ideas, was to get the history stops along the way to get to different places, the fort, up on the cemetery, out to the petroglyphs, all those kinds of things, out to the mission. So that was what they said. It doesn't have to be real complicated, but we all just need to agree on it.
Anyone else? So as I said, this will be on the work session tomorrow at 9 o'clock. It won't be right at 9, but it's on the schedule. So Molly, if you're able to jump in, that'd probably be good. And if not, I'm sure Lou will be, okay, great. You did a good job of getting it under 10 minutes. Thank you. All right.
You're welcome.
We'll see you tomorrow then, Molly. The next is number 14, an update on the Bluff road signs and inventory and inspection. Luann, that's yours.
Okay, so I did do the Bluff road sign inventory in June. We are short one yield sign, possibly a stop sign, but a yield or a stop up on the Bluff bench. And we're also short a curve sign up there that there's just no sign of it anywhere. But the signs are all inspected. I need to get with Erin maybe this week while she's here to figure out if we need to scan in that report or how you want to file it away. So anyway, I have all of that. So just let me know what needs to happen.
So I have a binder with all the road information, signs, everything. So it would be really helpful if you got me a hard copy for our binder.
It's probably 30 pages of color printing, so I'll come up someday and see if we've got some printer space.
Anything else on that? Then, Lou, you also have number 15, a report on the Utah Transient Room Annual Report.
Okay, yes, so I filed the annual report, which is due to the state, and the reason we have to put in this report is that we are qualified to collect resort tax for our community. And there's a percentage of how much population you have compared to how many tourists you can have in your town. So we have always been way out of line compared, they're not worried about us ever meeting that match. But some of the bigger towns, if they have a big development go in or they have a lot of influx of residents, then they lose that resort qualification. So I filed it, or I filled it out. Linda filed it for us, and we can continue to collect the resort tax.
Thank you, guys.
It'll be due annually, so we'll get it on our little calendar as well.
Any questions from anyone on that report? Thanks, Luke.
Thank
for
you.
doing that. Number 16, the San Juan County Wayfinder meeting of July 28th, 2022, and that's Linda and Aaron.
Linda, do you want to grab this one or would you like me to?
Okay, I could start it. So a month ago, we had our first meeting, which was a scoping meeting to gather a lot of information about all kinds of things, like what colors a sign could be, what colors remind us of San Juan County, the kind of animals, just all kinds of stuff. And so at this meeting, they compiled everything and we looked at what the results were. We also looked at some possible signs that we could use and talked a little bit about branding. So basically what this is a unified signage system to help people find regional destinations. And so one of the next steps is a committee, probably a couple committees, but a committee to go through the list we have of destinations in the county. And there's 3 tiers. There are things, the first tier means a location will get a sign. So like Natural Bridges, Moki Dugway, and signs can have more than one location. So the Moki Dugway is kind of easy because we can do Muley Point, Goosenecks. There's several things that way. And then, so things on the second tier could become signs, and things on the third tier are the last ones they look at. I believe they have about 100 things, and we're not planning on that many signs. That's way too many signs. So I volunteered to be on the committee that narrows down what signs we want.
Are these, excuse me, I've got a question.
Go ahead.
Are these physical signs that you're talking about, or are they points on a GPS that people can use?
They're physical signs.
Yeah,
Okay,
so they would,
the wayfinding does not imply the GPS usage of these things, right?
no, they're physical highway signs and they would work with UDOT, for example. We already have plenty of signs out here, but they would either maybe replace or be in addition to the signs to, those major areas.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Or Aaron, is there anything you want to add?
Nope, that was a great report. Thanks, Linda.
All right, number 17, the Bureau of Land Management, Bears Ears National Monument Resource Management Plan. We have had Britt Hornsby monitoring that and sitting in on the meetings. We received a letter from the BLM again saying that this management team is back up and running and taking input. Because we got the letter between our meetings and there was a long gap, and because both Britt and I were traveling, I asked him to go ahead and fill it out and get it into the BLM. And all it is it gives us, again, that seat at the table that we don't have if we don't have representation on the committee. So I haven't touched base with with Britt. I know he's getting back in town in the next couple of days, and I'll get a signed copy of that. But I'm the contact person for the council, and Britt is our go-to guy who's going to tell us everything we need to know about the Bears Ears management. If
Great.
anybody has an objection to
Good
how
job.
we now let me know. Brant, what'd you say?
Britt does a great job. We should ask him to continue. Thank you.
All right, if there's nothing else, we already covered number 18, which was the reminder about the planning and zoning public meeting. I do have a number 19 on the other. So most of you may not be aware, but our audit already started for the 2022 year. And Dave Sanderson's working with Aaron and Linda because it started while I was not in town, so, which was convenient for me. Thank you, Aaron and Linda. So they've been working with Dave, and one of the jobs that Linda does with Dave is she sends him the monthly bank statements. And I just want to read what Dave sent out today, because I think it says a lot about the dedication that Linda's had to this job. Thanks for the bank statement. I need it for the audit files. You are quick on the reconciliation. And thanks to you, Brant, too. I wish a couple of my other entities would be on top of things like you. And so, again, we've done well with our audits. We've done well with Aaron doing our informal audits. And now the accountant is saying that he's getting the information quickly. So thank you, Linda, for working with Dave and getting all that done.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda.
Anybody have any other? Aaron does.
Yeah, so this was brought to my attention today from a community member. I just kind of want to give everyone just kind of an update. And this community member received an email that included in the body, it was like a forwarded message that included one of our agendas for our town council works or regular meeting. And on it, so it was a phishing email, and it was asking to pay an invoice. The sender was not someone in the town, but they were using our documentation. I'll be reaching out to IT. Like I said, this just happened today, so I'm looking into it. But I just want you, just as a blanket statement, please do not click on any links that look suspicious. If it's coming from one of us, you'll probably have heard from us, prior to us sending an email. Anything, phishing emails frequently are, it's, pay this invoice now, and there's some sort of urgency behind it. Please always reach out if you have any questions. As I said, this did not seem to come from one of our town council email addresses, but it did include town council information. So I think it's pertinent that citizens know. If you do have any questions, or if you're receiving emails that look suspicious and you'd like to confirm it, please do. You can always reach out to me via phone or email. Any questions?
No, I think that there's one thing that should be added is, remember, Aaron reported that San Juan County was hacked with some phishing stuff, and it took a while for them to kind of recuperate. So I will be the first to admit I was guilty of clicking on something while I was on my trip, and Aaron fixed it. So Aaron's the go-to on this. If you you see something, don't click on it. Get a hold of Aaron and let her figure out whether it's a phishing event or not. Thanks, Aaron.
Definitely let us know.
I just want to say I was trying to find some San Juan County addresses today, and you cannot find them on the website at all. And I remember that they don't want them listed because the computers pick those up and use them as email. So I don't know if that's something that our IT tech guys would recommend, but that is something that rang a bell today when I was trying to find San Juan County. You can only find phone numbers on the websites.
That's good to know. Thanks for the call out, Lou. I will coordinate with our current IT service provider to get their recommendations, and we'll provide a report to the council at a later date.
Anyone else have another, or are we wrapping up? It's 7:16.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Come on over to the community center. We've got folks here.
Do you have any cookies?
I'm sure we do. We have all kinds of things. Come on over.
Did everyone vote?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right, then we're adjourned. I'm going to hang up, and Jim, you can turn the